Hello, in this video we will solve 9702 component 13 May-June 2023. So let's start. Question 1. What must be included in a record of a physical quantity? So in record of a physical quantity, an integer value, so it can be non-integer also, SI unit, you can express in CGS also. A unit expressed in base units, no, you can express, no need to express in base units, like we can express 5 Newton, 5 Pascals, so these are not base units. So that must be recorded is a numerical value for the quantity. So option will be option C. Second, what is the ohm expressed in SI base units? So we know that Ohm's law states V is equal to IR, or we can write R is equal to V upon I, where V is the work done per unit charge and here it will be current, and work done is like energy only, that is we can express it as force into distance. And then Q is not in base unit, so we can express Q as I into T, so into I. And force we can write mass into acceleration, and D is the distance here, I into T into I. So here we can write for mass we can write kg, for acceleration we can write meter per second square, for distance again meter, for I it will be ampere, for time second, for I ampere. So it will become kg, then meter and meter square, per second square, second it will become second minus 3, and then a square, so it will become a minus 2. So option A is the correct one. Third question, a desk has a true width of 50 centimeter. Two students X and Y measure the width of the desk. Student X uses a tape measure and record with a width 49.5 plus minus 0.5, and student Y record 51.5 plus minus 0.1. Okay. So which statement about the measurement of X is correct? Now actual value is 50 and the student X has measured 49.5. So this value is more accurate as compared to Y, because Y is getting 51.4. Okay. So it is more accurate. Now in more accurate there are two options. More accurate C and D. Now if you will see here it is 0.5, like precision is not there in the measurement of X. So it is more accurate but less precise. So option D is the correct one. Fourth question. The diagram shows two vectors x and y drawn to scale. If x is equal to y minus z, which diagram represent the vector z? So okay, if I represent these two vectors like this, if this is y and this is x, and from this equation z is equal to y minus x, so means z is equal to y plus minus of x. If this is x, so minus x will be this, and this will be z. So which option is correct? So option A is correct. Fifth question, which equation representing uniform accelerated motion in a straight line can be determined using only the definition of acceleration? So we know that definition of acceleration is defined as rate of change of velocity, or we can say A is equal to V minus U by T. On rearranging, we can write A into T is equal to V minus U, or V is equal to U plus AT. So option C is the right one. Sixth question, an object moves from rest with a uniform horizontal and uniform acceleration vertical. Which graph showing the variation with time t of the displacement of the object from its initial position is correct? Now as the uniform velocity along horizontal direction means horizontal displacement versus time will be a straight line graph passing through straight line. So option A and D are not correct. Option A wrong, C is wrong, sorry. And B, if it is uniform acceleration, then its gradient should increase with time. Displacement time graph is given, and we know that gradient of displacement time graph, gradient of displacement time graph is representing speed, sorry, displacement time graph. So you can write which gradient of or displacement s we can represent. So gradient of st graph is v, and if it is acceleration means v is increasing. So if you will see this diagram, here gradient is increasing with the passage of time, so option D is the correct one. So answer will be option D. Question 7. A device for spraying paint consists of a box with faces horizontal and vertical. One of its vertical faces contains small pinholes. So paint is fed into the box under pressure via a vertical tube and exit through the holes as fine streams moving horizontally. So paint is in, out. Paint is ejected at a speed of 2.5 meter per second through 400 holes. Each of area zero point 0.4 mm square. The density is given. You have to find it. So if it need to be stationary, then the horizontal. See, initially this box will be at rest, and when the paint will try to come out or paint will be ejected, then box will also try to move. Yeah, and we know that to keep force required will be equal to change in momentum per unit time. That will be the force required per unit second change in momentum, and change in momentum will be mv minus mu. Now, mu means initially it is at rest, so the force required will be equal to mb by t only, or force per unit moment, like momentum per unit time we have to find change in momentum. Now see, if we say ki volume per second, it will be equal to area into length per second, and length per second is speed, nothing else. So it is equal to 0.4 into mm square to meter square 10 raised to power minus 6 into 2.5. So this will be the volume per second for one. So mass will be equal to density into volume. Mass is equal to density into volume. Now what is density? Density is 900. Density is 900 into volume. Volume we have calculated 0.4 into 10 raised to power minus 6 into 2.5. This is for one hole, but there are total 400 holes. So you will multiply this by 400. So this will be the total mass. And now momentum, if we want to calculate momentum or mb, or substituting this value in this equation, then force required will be this mass, that is 900 into 0.4 into 10 raised to power minus 6 into 2.4 into 400 into 2.5. So it will come out to be 0.90 Newton. So this option is correct. Option B. Question number 8. Each diagram illustrates a pair of forces of equal magnitude. Which diagram gives an example of a pair of forces that is described by Newton's third law of motion? Now Newton's third law of motion states that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction, but that action and reaction forces acts on different objects. So here we can see in A the two forces are acting on the same object, in C and D also. So option will be B. Correct option will be B, because only in B diagram the forces are acting on the different objects. Question number 9. Two balls of identical shape and size but different masses are falling through the same liquid. Sum of the drag force and upthrust acting on each ball is equal to its weight. Which statement about the two balls is correct? Now, if the sum of drag force and upthrust is equal to weight, this means it will move with the constant speed. So option A and B will cancel out. Now only option C and D are left. See, Smaller ball, let's say smaller ball is having mass small m and bigger ball is having mass like heavier, size is same, masses are different. Okay, lighter ball is having mass m small and heavier ball is having mass capital M. So its weight will be mg acting downward, its weight will be capital Mg acting downwards, and upthrust acting will be, let's say this upthrust is u, and since the two balls are of identical shape and size, so upthrust acting on both will be same, that is it will be u only. And another force will be acting drag force, so drag force will be different. Let's say the drag force here is d1 and drag force here will be d2. Now it is given that u plus d1 is equal to mg and u plus d2 is equal to mg. So since u value is same, this means the drag force for this bigger one will be greater, that is d2 is greater than d1. Now if d2 is greater than d1, what does that mean? Drag force, we know that increases with increase in speed. So if drag force on the second ball or heavier ball is more, this means the heavier ball is having more speed, or we can say that the heavier ball is falling at a larger speed than the lighter ball. So option D will be the correct. Question number 10. A perfectly elastic collision occurs between two objects x and y. The mass of x is m and mass of y is 4m. Object x travel at a speed v before the collision and speed 3v by 5 in the opposite direction. Object y is stationary. What is kinetic energy? Now since it is given it is perfectly elastic collision, and we know that in perfectly elastic collision total kinetic energy before collision is equal to total kinetic energy after collision. So before collision kinetic energy of x, it is half into mv square plus it is stationary 0 is equal, kinetic energy of this will be half into m into 3v by 5 square plus, let's say kinetic energy of this will be k. So kinetic energy k will be equal to half mv square minus 9v square m divided by 50. So on solving you will get kinetic energy k is equal to 16 by 50 mv square. You can take LCM and solve, like it will be 25 mv square minus 9 mv square, that is 16 mv square divided by 15. So option C is correct. Question number 11. What is not a requirement for the two forces to act as a couple? So we know that couple is when two forces are in opposite direction, equal magnitude, so it will be zero net force. Now we can see the two forces actually, this can be the possible answer. This is the possible answer. 12th question. A uniform meter rule is pivoted at the 34 centimeter mark. The rule balances when a 64 gram mass is hung from the 4 centimeter mark. What is the mass of the rule? Now we know that if it is of uniform meter rule, its weight will be acting at its center. So this is the point where its weight W will act. So this distance between the line of action of force and center of gravity will be 50 minus 34, that is 16 centimeter. And this distance will be equal to 30 centimeter. Now if it is balancing, this mean 64, here I am writing mass only, 64 into 30 is equal to W into 16. So W will be equal to 64 into 30 by 16, so that is 120. Here I am writing W, so it is denoting mass here W. Why? Because here I have written 64 gram only. I have taken mass here, 64. So here W also representing mass, because even if you will multiply 64 into 10, then again you will get 1200, you will divide by 10, you will be getting same answer. So option C is the correct. Question number 13. A volume of 1.5 meter cube of water is mixed with 0.50 meter cube of alcohol. The density of water is 1000 kg per meter cube and density of alcohol and water is given. Volume of mixture is 2 meter cube. What is the density of the mixture? Now we know that if we want to find density, total density, then it should be equal to total mass divided by total volume. Now how will we calculate total mass? First of all, mass of the water will be, mass we know that is equal to density into volume. Volume of water 1.5, density is 1000. So this means mass of water is equal to 1500 kg. Density of alcohol is 800 and volume is 0.50. So mass of alcohol is equal to 400. So total mass will be equal to 1500 plus 400 divided by total volume 1.5 plus 0.52. So it will be equal to 1900 divided by 2, that is 950. So option D is the correct answer. 14th question, an object is falling at a constant speed through a viscous fluid or liquid. Fu is the upthrust on the object due to the liquid, Wl is the weight of the liquid displaced by the object, and W naught is the weight of the object. So which is correct equation? We know that upthrust is equal to the weight of the liquid displaced by the object. So option A is correct one, because upthrust is equal to the weight of the liquid displaced. So option A is correct. Question 15. An airport has a mechanical system for moving luggage. The system uses a horizontal conveyor belt, a sloping conveyor belt, a lift, frictionless slide. Suitcase is moved around the airport using this system. Resistive forces are negligible. So for which case is the network done greatest? So we know that work done is equal to force into displacement in the direction of force. So displacement in the direction of force. Now here in this case and in this case so it will be 0. So when it is moving like this, so in this case the work done will be equal to, so now if you will see, it is being lifted through this distance only. Yeah, so it will be less than 8. In this case it will be 0, and in this case if you will calculate the height, this height only, so this is less than 10, and highest displacement in the direction of force is in this case only. Means when the suitcase is moved through a distance of 10 meter vertically upward. So option C is the correct one. Question 16. A car moves along a horizontal road with a constant velocity v against a resistive force F. The engine of the car has an efficiency of 25%. What is the input power to the engine? Now we know that efficiency or input power we can relate. Output power is equal to power output is equal to 25% of the power input. So means input power is equal to 100 by 25 into output power. So it will be 25, it will be 4, and output power is, it is moving with against a resistive force F and velocity v. So F into v. So option C is correct, 4.0 FV. 17th question, an object of mass 0.40 kg is projected into the air and follows a curved path above horizontal ground. Object take a time for 1.5 second to move along its path. Object land a horizontal distance of 18 meter from its initial position. Air resistance is negligible. What is the kinetic energy of the object at its maximum height? We know that at maximum height, at this point, its vertical velocity will become 0. So this means its vertical kinetic energy will be 0. So for the contribution, so there will be contribution of horizontal velocity only for the kinetic energy. And we know that horizontal motion is not accelerated, and horizontal distance covered is 18 meter in time of 1.5 second. So here we can find speed. Speed is equal to distance by time. So it will be 18 by 1.5. It will come out to be 12 meter per second. And kinetic energy is defined as half mv square. So it will come out to be half into 0.40 into 12 into 12. On solving this, you will get 29 joule. 18th question. A metal wire has length of 5.2 meter and diameter 1 mm. The metal has Young modulus 360 gigapascal. The wire is fixed at one and force is applied to the other. Force extend the wire by 7.2 mm. What is the force applied? Now we know that Young modulus is given as stress upon strain, whereas stress is equal to force upon area and strain is equal to change in length upon original length. So we have to find y is given 360 gigapascal, so it will be 360 into 10 raised to power 9 is equal. Force we have to calculate. Length is given 5.2 meter divided by area. Diameter is given and we know that area is equal to, because here we have to take area of cross section, and for metallic wire area of cross section will be circular. So area will be pi r square, or we can write pi into d square, pi d square by 4, which we can write area as pi into d square upon 4. So it will come out to be pi into d square, 1 mm converted into meter, 10 raised to power minus 3 square, and 4 we can write here, multiply by delta L, that is change in length. Our extension is 7.2 mm, so it will 7.2 into 10 raised to power minus 3. So on substituting all the values and calculations, you will get force F is equal to 3.9 into 10 raised to power 2 Newton. So option B is correct. Question 19. The graph shows how the length of a spring varies with the force applied to it. Now we know that if force versus length graph is given, then it's we have to find the work done. Work done is given as area under graph. Area under the graph. So area under graph. So we have to take this length. The shape is triangular, so it will come to be half into, because area of triangle is half into base into height. So this base length will be L1 minus L0 and this height is F. So option B is correct. 20th question. A progressive wave of frequency 1.5 kilohertz travel in a medium at speed of 340 meter per second. What is the minimum distance between 2 points on the wave that has a phase difference of 70? Now we know that if phase difference is equal to 70 degree, so if there is 360 degree corresponds to lambda, that is one complete wave. So 70 degree will correspond to lambda by 360 into 70. Okay. Now what is lambda here? Lambda we can calculate here, but lambda is equal to we know that speed is equal to frequency into lambda. So lambda is equal to speed by frequency. So speed is 340 into 70 divided by 360 into 1.5 kilohertz mean 1500. So on solving this, you will get 4.4. You will get 0.044 meter, or you can write 4.4 centimeter. Option A is correct. Question 21. Graph 1 shows the variation with time of displacement. So in graph 1, displacement versus time is given. Graph 2 is for displacement versus distance. What is the speed of the wave? We know that speed is given as distance upon time. Now, in first graph, it is given displacement versus time. So when displacement is 2 centimeter, then time taken for 2 centimeter is 0.10. And when displacement is 2 centimeter, distance is 30. So distance is 30 centimeter. So 30 into 10 raised to power minus 2 divided by time taken will be 0.10. Am I right? Wait. Distance is 30. Centimeter. Okay, we have to find in centimeter per second only, then no need to convert this na. So we can write 30 by 0.10. So it will come out to be 300 centimeter per second. Option D is correct. Question 22. A vehicle moves with a constant velocity along a road directly towards an observer. The observed frequency of the sound from the vehicle changes as the vehicle moves past the observer. Which phenomena explain the change in frequency? Question is very simple. Doppler effect. It states that when the source or observer are moving close to each other, then there will be increase in frequency, and if they are moving away, then decrease. An electromagnetic wave has a wavelength of 2.1 centimeter in vacuum. Which region corresponds this wave? For this, you have to learn values. This question is directly based on learning. We know that microwaves are lying in a region of like 1 meter to 1 mm. So if 2.1 centimeter, the option is B. This is all about learning. 24th question. A source of plane polarized light is observed through two polarizing filters, and the filters are positioned so that source appears as its brightest. One of the filter is then rotated clockwise and other filter is rotated anti-clockwise through the same angle. How does the source appear when both filters have been rotated 90 degree and 180 degree? Okay, if one is rotated 90 degree, let's say if this we will rotate by 90 degree. So if now that it is brightest, so when it will be rotated by the 90 degree, so it will become like this, and same this it will also become like this. So it will not give anything, so because it will block the light. So here intensity received will be 0. So when it is, so option A and B are cancelled out. Now when they are rotated 180 degree means when they are rotated 180 degree, they will again come back to their original position. If it is like this, now if it is rotated through 180 degree, again it will come to its original position. So darkest and then it will be brighter. So option C is the correct. Darkest at 90 degree, brightest at 180 degree. Question 25. The diagram shows a string fixed between 2 points x and y. There is a stationary wave on the string. The solid curve shows the string at a position of maximum displacement time t naught. The dashed line curve show other position of maximum displacement. Straight center line show the mean position. Point S is directly above point P and T is directly below Q. Which statement is correct? A short time after T naught point R on the string will be displaced. So R is here representing anti node, na? So there will be no displacement. 0 it will be because it will remain fixed. So A is correct. Wrong. Short time after. Option C, the distance between P and Q is one wavelength, and we know that P is representing antinode and Q is also representing antinode, and distance between two antinodes is lambda by 2, so C is wrong. Two moving points on the string that are equal distance from point R vibrate in phase, so moving distance R, they will vibrate out of phase. So option D is wrong, option B is the correct. 26. The variation with the distance x of the intensity I along a stationary sound wave is given. Frequency you have to find. So we can see here this is half of the wavelength is given, lambda by 2 is given 10 centimeter. So 10 into 10 raised to power minus 2 meter. Lambda is 20 into 10 raised to power minus 2 meter, or lambda is equal to 0.2 meter. Speed is given 340 meter per second, and we know that frequency is equal to speed by lambda, that is 340 by 0.2, it will be equal to 1700 hertz. Option A is correct. Question 27. An experiment is set up to demonstrate the diffraction of water waves in ripple tank. The waves pass through a gap with W and some diffraction of the waves is observed. The wavelength is double. What is the new gap to cause same amount? So if wavelength is double, the gap should also be doubled. 28th question. Two coherent electromagnetic waves are traveling in vacuum. The two waves meet at a point. At this point, the two waves have different intensities. Which statement about the wave is not correct? So they are meeting at a point. Two coherent. Coherent source mean they will have same frequency and they will be traveling at the same speed. Okay. So this cannot be option this, and if it is coherent, they will have a constant phase difference. So only option left is B. They will not have the same amplitudes as they have different intensities. Question 29th. A parallel beam of light of wavelength 600 nanometer is incident normally on a diffraction grating. Distance between adjacent slits in the grating is 2 into 10 raised to power minus 6 meter. A screen is placed parallel to the grating at a distance of 1.5 meter. Third order diffraction maxima are observed. What is the distance between the two ends of the screen? So you have to find this distance. Now this is exactly midway na. So if we find this distance L, so this total distance will be equal to 2L. So let's say here is the angle theta formed. Now we know that d sine theta is equal to n lambda. So we can find theta here. So sine theta is equal to n lambda by d, where n is the order, it is third order. Lambda is 600 nanometer, means 600 into 10 raised to power minus 9 meter, divided by d is given 2 into 10 raised to power minus 6. So sine theta here is, sine theta is 0.9 here. It will be 0.9 here only. Wait, 2 into 300. So yes, 0.9. So theta will be 64.2 degree. Now this theta is 64.2 degree. And you have to find this length L. This is given 1.50. If you apply trigonometry, that is tan theta is equal to perpendicular by base. So here this L is acting as a perpendicular and this base is 1.50. So perpendicular will be base, that is 1.50 into tan theta, means tan of 64.2. So this perpendicular P will come out to be, P is equal to, this will come out to be on calculations 3.1, and which is equal to length. So this total distance will be 2L, that is 2 into 3.1, that is 6.2. So option D is the correct. Question 30. A metal wire is connected between the terminals of a cell so that there is a current in the wire. Which statement is correct? Negatively charged electrons move from negative to the positive terminal. So this is the correct option. 31st. Two resistors of resistances R and 2R are connected in parallel with a battery of 12 volt, negligible internal resistance. Power dissipated is 36. What is the value of R? Now we know that power dissipated is given by the formula P is equal to V square upon R. Now in this question V is given as 12. So power P is equal to given as 36. So 36 is equal to 12 square, that is 144, divided by resistance R. Now resistance R, since two are connected in parallel, so equivalent resistance will be 2R into R divided by 2R plus R. So you can write 36 is equal to 144 divided by 2R square into 3R. Now we can solve 2 se cutting 72, 36 2, 1 R and R will cancel out. So on solving you will get R is equal to 6.0 ohm. 32. A wire has a length of 3 meter and resistivity 4.9 10 to the power minus 7. Potential difference is 12 volt. Current is 1.4. What is the cross sectional area? We know that resistance R is given by the formula rho L by A. So area of cross section A is equal to rho L by R. Rho is given 4.9 into 10 raised to power minus 7. Length L is given 3 meter divided by R. We know that V is equal to IR. R is equal to V upon I. So it will come 12 into 1.4. On solving you will get R is equal to 1.7 into 10 raised to power minus 7 meter square. Question 33. A cell of negligible internal resistance is connected in series with a thermistor, fixed resistor and ammeter. Thermistor is placed in beaker of water and temperature is increased. We know that when temperature is increased, this means the resistance decreased. Now current of I against the temperature is plotted. Which graph could show the variation? So with the when resistance is decreased, so current I is increased. This means option B is the correct one. Question 34. A battery with internal resistance is connected in parallel arrangement of two resistors and switch S. Initially switch S is open. What happens to the voltmeter and ammeter reading when switch S is closed? When switch S will be closed, so this will form a parallel combination, and we know that in parallel combination resistance will be decreased. So if resistance will be decreased, this means total current drawn will increase. So if total current drawn is increasing, this means ammeter reading is increase. So this option will cancel out, option B, and this will also cancel out. Now we know that terminal potential difference V is given as E minus IR. Now if I is increasing, this means V will decrease because this factor will increase. So V decreasing and ammeter reading increasing. So option A is the correct one. Question 35. Kirchhoff's first law states that sum of the currents entering a junction in a circuit is equal to the sum of the currents leaving it. The law is based on the conservation of a physical quantity. What is this physical quantity? It is based on the law of conservation of charge only. 36. Two resistors have a combined resistance of 34 ohm when connected in series. Same resistor have a combined resistance of 7.4 ohm when connected in parallel. What is the one resistance? Okay. So when two resistors are connected in series, let's say resistances are R1 and R2. So R1 plus R2 is equal to 34. And when connected in parallel, then R1 R2 by R1 plus R2. This is net resistance and it is equal to 7.4 ohm. So from this equation you can write R1 R2 is equal to 7.4 into R1 plus R2, that is 34. Now we are having these two equations R1 plus R2, and so one of the ways you can like find value of R2 from this equation, then like R2 you can find R2 is equal to 34 minus R1, then substitute in this equation. So it will become R1 into 34 minus R1 is equal to 7.4 into 34. So a quadratic will be formed like 34 R1 minus R1 square is equal to 7.4 into 34, and you can solve that quadratic. Another method is you can use this identity. We know that A plus B whole square is given as A square plus B square plus 2AB, and A minus B whole square is given as A square plus B square minus 2AB. So from these two equations you can write A plus B square minus A minus B whole square is equal to 4AB. Means A minus B whole square is equal to A plus B whole square minus 4AB. So same R1, so AB here is, we are having R1 R2, A plus B here will be R1 plus R2. So we can find value of R1 minus R2 square. That will be equal to R1 plus R2 square minus 4AB. Means this will be 34 square minus 4 into AB means R1 R2, that is 7.4 into 34. So on solving this you will get R1 minus R2. R1 minus R2 is equal to 12.23 you will get. So R1 minus R2 12.23. Now you can add these two equations R1 minus R2 and R1 plus R2. So on solving you will get R1 is equal to, like you are getting approx 23.11 something. So means one of the resistance is this. And another method can be hit and trial method. You can like check with different values. If it is satisfying any value, then that will be the answer. Question 37. Potentiometer circuit is used to investigate the electromotive force of a cell X. The EMF of a cell is known to be approximately 0.50 volt. The driver cell has negligible internal resistance and an EMF 2 volt. The sliding contact is moved along the uniform resistance. What is an expression? So we know that this 2 volt, this driver cell, we can take ratio this driver cell divided by for this length X. So it will be 2 by 0.5 is equal to, when using this driver cell, this whole length you are taking, that is QR divided by QP. So QP is equal to QR divided by, this will be 4. So QR by 4 it will become. So option A is the correct one. Question 38. The table contains data for 4 different nuclei PQRS. Which 2 nuclei are isotopes? We know that isotopes have same proton number, but different neutron number, or nucleon number will be different. Nucleon number is different. Now here Q and R, first option is P and Q. In P and Q we can see mass nucleon number is same, so this is rejected. In P and S, in P and S, we can see in P neutron number is 5 and in S neutron number is 8. And nucleon number is 10 here, this means proton number here is 5 and in this it is 8. So this is also rejected. Q and R have same neutron number, so this is also rejected. Option R and S is the correct. Because here you can see proton number is 8 and here also proton number is 8. Question 39. Which statement about beta decay is correct? We know that beta decay, neutron is changing into 0 and 1 is changing into 1 electron plus 1 proton and plus antineutrino. So neutron changes to proton and electron and antineutrons. A option is correct. Question 40. What is the quark composition of hydrogen 3 nucleus? In hydrogen 3 nucleus we know that 1 proton is there and 2 neutron are there. For proton the quark composition is UUD and for neutron it is UDD. Now since 1 proton is there, so this means how many in proton, if we are taking total nucleus, how many U are there? 2 U are there and 1 D is there. And in neutron, since 2 neutrons are there, so this means 2 U will be there and 4 D will be there. So how many total up quarks are there? 2 plus 2, 4 up quarks are there. And down quark 1 plus 5, 4 D, 5. Okay, thanks for watching the video.